So welcome to our meditation time. I invite each of us just to get comfortable where you are. Just allow your eyes to gently close, just signifying that you want to bring your focus and your attention to the here and the now. Closing our eyes helps us to separate ourselves from the distractions, from all the things that our senses want to head toward, and rather we bring our focus inward. And so as you do that, just begin to notice. Notice if it just naturally happens for you, that you can see into your heart, into your soul. Or maybe for some of us, we have to pause and just let the eyes adjust to being closed. Let the body adjust to being still. And then over the course of these few minutes, then maybe our focus can go internally. There's not a pace or a right way. It really is this individualized, beautifully personal practice. And so just honor where you are right now. And then begin to notice the breath. See how you feel. See what the breath is telling you about the activity of your day, the activity of your week, the activity of the season that you're in life right now. Listen to the breath. Notice it. We're continuing on this journey of looking at peace from all kinds of different angles, so that over time we really have these wonderful tools to cultivate it into our everyday life. It's not something that's just unique for meditation. It's not something that's circumstantially connected. It is something for each breath that we take and each moment that we live. And so we've been exploring this concept of peace from a lot of different viewpoints, and we'll continue this journey. But first, let's unite our breath together just to find some commonality, knowing that there are other people on this planet, in this space, seeking the same things that we are seeking. A little stillness, a little quiet, a little peace. So let's take a slow, deep breath in together. And then gently let it go. And breathing in. And breathing out. And one more together. And release. And then I would invite us just to check in with our energy. See what you notice. For some, maybe there's this gentle kind of buzz of how you feel the energy just settling. For others, you're still really activated from whatever you were doing just before you arrived. For others, the energy is quiet and calm. So whatever yours feels like, notice it. And just honor that. And think how wonderful it is that you get to pause and pay attention to you. And so today, when we think about this idea of peace, I want us to sit with the things that are perhaps getting in the way of it. I know we like to think about all the good things that we could do, the things that we could think about and meditate on and pray on and just sit with. But in order for peace to be this realistic part of our everyday life, at work, at school, in our relationships with ourselves, we've got to be able to sit with and reflect upon the things in our life that are not contributing to that peace. There's a quote from Lao Tzu, this ancient Chinese teacher. For so many years he's been quoted, so much wisdom that he's given to us in contemporary times. And his words are just as relevant today as when he first uttered them. He said, If you do not change directions, you may end up where you're headed. If you do not change directions, you may end up where you're headed. And it sounds so simple. You almost kind of grin to think, well, of course I'm going to end up where I'm headed. And so what I would invite us to do today is just pause for these next few breaths and just think, what are the things in my life over which I have control, not the things that others influence and that others seem to control, but what are the things in my life that my hands touch, that my energy contributes to, that my thoughts connect to, that are not contributing to this lifestyle of peace? What are the things that I do, the activities that I engage in, the thoughts that I have, the conversations that I participate in, the entertainment that I enjoy? And I could go on and on with all these things, but for each of us, just kind of go through in your head the activities, the parts of your life that in the most recent days you spent time on, you've given energy to. And as you see those things, those conversations, those thoughts, those activities, as you see them, just kind of put a check mark by the ones that don't necessarily contribute to a mindset of peace. And this is not to make a list of all the things that we're doing wrong. It is truly cultivating our awareness. Because like Lao Tzu said, if we don't change direction, there's a really good chance we're going to end up where we're heading. And so let's figure out what direction we're going. Again, not the direction that the people in your office are influencing and controlling, not the directions that your family has control over, or even your spouse or your most important person if you have one. I want us to look at the things that we make choices about, the things that we do and say and think. So just kind of play that tape in your head of the last few days. Just make a note of the things that are not contributing to your peace. I recognize that can feel overwhelming. It can kind of hurt your heart a little bit, because every one of us has them, I included. We have these things in our day, these activities that we engage in, these things that we give our energy to, our attention to. It could be as simple as just what you scroll through on your phone, or the conversations that you stand and have at work, or in your volunteer time, or wherever you go. It could be the way that you talk to your kiddos or to your partner and to your spouse. It could be the music that you listen to when you drive down the highway and the traffic. And again, this is not to make a list of the things that we're doing wrong and to make ourselves feel guilty, but we need to shine a light and figure out the direction that we're going. Because if we're showing up to meditation, there's a really strong chance that the direction that we want is one of peace. And it's really easy to look out and blame others for the things that are not peaceful in our life, but today is about us. Where do you place your attention? Where do you offer your energy? How do you spend your time? And so as you have that list that you've noticed, let's each just pick one thing. Pick one thing on that list that we know is not the direction that we want to head. That we know that that thing is not helping us to cultivate peace once we get up from this meditation time. So let's each just pick one. One thing over which we have full control. And then I'd like us to practice what Thich Nhat Hanh says, is inviting that thing to sit with us. Almost like you've scooched over and you've made a spot and you've said, I see you. I recognize that you are part of my life. And I want to sit in this quiet reflection, and I want to choose something different. I want to recognize that you exist, and then I want to let you go. And so as we each have chosen just one thing, not a list, just choose one. Let's sit with that thing. And I'm going to offer us a mantra that we could use if that's helpful. For some of you, you like to just sit in the quiet. But if a mantra is helpful, there is a mantra that says aham. A-H-A-M. Aham. And it's this idea of I am. I am. And when you chant or you say or you repeat this mantra of aham, you're not putting anything after it. I am. And if you chant it or you say it often enough, that thing that's sitting with you all of a sudden doesn't seem to be as important. I am. Not I am that social media time, or not I am that TV show, or I am that activity, or whatever it is that you have chosen to really sit with. Those things don't define us. I am is a sentence in and of itself. It doesn't need anything else. I am. And so we'll use this mantra as a way to give us just a little courage, a little encouragement, a little strength to let that thing go. To commit to give our energy to cultivating I am, which will lead us directly in the way that we want to go, the direction of peace. And so I'll say it a few times, and you can choose to continue to say it if that feels right for you, or you can just choose to be quiet and sit in this quiet with you and your thing, recognizing that it's there. And then as our quiet time comes toward the end, we'll do our very best together to let those things go. So just continue to breathe slow, deep breaths in and out. Aham. 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 And as we each grow quiet in our own space, maybe you'll choose to stay with aham, that gentle repetition. Maybe you'll choose to say I am. I am. I am. Or maybe you'll sit in quiet. But either way, let's sit with that thing, that place where we give our energy, our attention. Let's sit with it. Continue to breathe and be. And as you continue to breathe, if you've been saying the mantra or saying I am, just let the words go. And now let's each just imagine ourselves seeing that thing that we've chosen to sit with and hang out with. Just see ourselves standing up and walking away, putting space between us and that thing, that action, that way of spending our time, that thought pattern. See yourself moving away from it with this assurance of I am, and that's enough. And I want to encourage all of us and just really name the fact that it takes courage to do these things. It takes courage to look at the direction that you're going and realize that is not where I want to head, and then doing something about it. And this topic for today has been sitting with me just for a few hours, because I really have felt in the last many months that I've been actively doing things on purpose with intention to cultivate peace. And you know, when you start to feel like things are going really well, the world has a way of rolling one of those boulders in the center of your path just to check and see if you'll let the attention go back where it used to, or if you'll stay going the direction that you have chosen. And I had a situation today, and you will have some in the coming days that remind you of this thing that you've sat with today. I had a situation come up of some actions from someone that for about half an hour, and truly for about half an hour, it stirred up old thought patterns. And it made me, for just a few minutes, start to put words after that I am. And I started to doubt. I started to doubt the peace. I started to doubt the path. And I don't say this as a way to set a time parameter on anything, but I realized that about 30 minutes had passed, and I found myself breathing more deeply, and I realized that I had let it go again. Something that months ago would have just taken me into a dark corner and caused me to doubt, caused me to question. But today, it only took 30 minutes And I remembered that the direction I am heading is the direction I want to go. And anything that the world throws in that path, I'm going to see it, and I'm going to go around it, or over it, or through it, whatever needs to happen. But I want to choose the direction, instead of going back to old patterns and letting the world choose it for me. And so I tell you that just as a way to encourage you that we're going to stand up in a moment and we are going to physically move away from that thing, that thought pattern, that action, that habit. And then in the coming days, you'll have a reminder of it. And you'll have to pause and you'll have to breathe and remember this moment and choose the direction that you want to go. And I promise you, the peace is worth it. One breath, one moment at a time. Namaste.